Good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday. Welcome to today's hip mobility class. I am Coach Ray. So for today's class, we are going to need one long stick only today. Okay, everything's going to be single stick drills. I do have a squat rack because we are going to get into some dumpy squats and we are going to get into a little bit of variations with the squat patterns. We are going to do a single leg RDL balance drill. It's going to be really hard. It's going to be really challenging for me too. And then we're also going to finish off with getting into some of the fascial lines. So we're going to be stretching out a lot of the front lines and opening up the hips and the T-spine at the end here. Okay, so I'm going to grab my stick and make sure you have a pack close to you because we are going to get into some kneeling drills as well. Okay, so let's go and start with the feet and ankles first. And so I'm going to take a horse stance here, and I want my feet roughly about shoulder width apart. Toes going to be pointed forward here. Okay, and I'm going to have the stick directly out front. I'm going to grip at roughly about shoulder height, pick up the bottom of the stick and angle it in towards me just a little bit, right? Just a bit, just to make sure that we got some balance here, okay? So from here, I'm going to bring both heels up. So keep all 5 toes in contact with the floor. Bring both heels up. You want to make sure your hips stay level, that they're not moving up and down. Then you're going to slowly return back down to the floor under control. Once the heels touch the floor, you're going to bring your heels back up again. Good. Heels back down, under control. Good. Once they touch the floor, bring the heels back up again. Good. And you want to make sure that you're also, again, allowing the knees to track in the same line as the toes. You're going to bring the heels back down. Good. Let's go a few more here. Heels up. Good. Back down. Let's go 2 more. Once they touch, heels up again. Good. Back down. Excellent. One more time, heels up. Hold. Stay stable. Hold that position. Good. Back down slow. And good. Going to relax for a second here. Perfect. So now we're going to get into lateral shifting here. So I like to go 1 foot at a time for this one. So let's start with that left foot first. Okay. So I'm going to stay centered. I still want to be in that same horse stance here. I want to bring my left heel up, okay? And I want to make sure I'm grabbing the ground with this right foot, so I want to make sure that's active the entire time here. I want to bring my left heel up as high as I can, stay balanced, okay? Stay centered. And I'm going to shift my heel inwards towards my midline. So I want to shift my heel towards my midline, right? Now I'm going to shift the heel outwards. Now what I want you to pay attention to is make sure the knee isn't moving too much. So I'm going to shift my heel inwards, and as I'm shifting my heel inwards, I'm not rotating my knee out. Now I'm going to shift my heel outwards. I'm going to be on a pinky toe. Good. Shift that heel in, then out. Good. In, and out. Back to center. And down. Excellent. Now we're going to switch sides. Okay. Bring that right heel up. All 5 toes in contact with the floor at first. Okay. I'm going to shift that right heel inwards. Good. Out. In. Good. Feel that big toe working. Feel those ankle tissues working. Shift out. Right. Be on that pinky toe here. In. Make sure you're breathing. Out. Good. One more time. In. And out. Back to center. And down. Excellent. Now let's go ankle circles here. So I'm actually going to bring my stance in just a smidge closer here, so almost under my hips. Toes will still be facing forward here, okay? And so I'll turn to the side here, so you can see the side angle. and I want to bring up that left heel, and I'm going to create a circle with my heel, and I'm going to start going counterclockwise. So I'm going to start at the 12 o'clock position, then I'm going to go 9, then 6, 3, and 12. Good, again, 9, 6, 3, 12. Again, 9, 6, 3, and 12. Now we're going to switch directions. So 3, 6, 9, 12. Good. 3, 6, 9, 12. Last one. 3, 6, 9, and 12. And back down. Good. Now we're going to switch feet. Okay, I'll turn back forward again. So, sorry, 12. We're going to start clockwise on the right foot. Okay? So 3, 6, 9, 12. Good. 3, 6, 9, 12. One more time. 3, 6, 9, and 12. We'll switch directions. 9, 6, 3, 12. Good. 2 more. 9, 6, 3, 12. Last one. 9, 6, 3, and 12. Good. Back down and relax. So now we're going to shift on to pelvic tilt. We're going to actually really need this for the dumpy squat here, okay? So I'm going to kind of turn to the side a little bit here. And we're going to work with posterior anterior tilt here, okay? So as we do the posterior tilt, we're tucking the pelvis in. I want you to drive that stick into the ground, okay? With about 20 to 30% tension, just to activate that entire front line here, okay? So I'm going to have the stick directly out in front, pick it up, hover off the floor, angle the bottom end towards you, okay? And I'm going to get in that horse stance. I'm going to go with the shoulder width stance. Toes are pointed forward. Hands are at sternum height. I'm going to switch my hands here. So my left hand's on top. Now I'm going to do from here, I'm going to do a posterior tilt. And at the same time, I'm driving that stick into the floor, squeezing my glutes. You should be feeling your core tissues turn on here. Breathe. Now I'm going to do an anterior tilt. And I'm going to ease off about 10% of that tension as I tuck my pelvis the opposite way. Good. Do a posterior tilt. Drive that stick into the floor. 30% tension. Make sure you breathe. Anterior tilt. Ease off about 10% of that tension. Still driving that stick down. Good. Posterior tilt. Drive the stick into the floor harder. Squeeze those glutes. Make sure those knees are going outwards. Okay, you're trying to abduct the hips as you're doing this here. Do an anterior tilt, ease off 10% of that tension, feel those lower back tissues tighten. One last time, posterior tilt, squeeze those glutes, drive that stick down a little harder, hold, make sure you're squeezing the glutes and breathing. And anterior tilt, ease off 10% of that tension. Good. Now we're going to come back to center and relax for a second here. Now we're going to get into the lateral tilting, okay? So make sure that your upper body isn't moving as we do this, right? I want to keep that upper body or that spine as still as possible. It's just movement from the pelvis, okay? So I'm going to grip the stick at sternum height. Everything's going to be the same, okay? Position's still going to be the same. I'm going to drop down into that horse stance a bit, pelvis stacked under the spine. I'm going to do a minor posterior tilt here, okay? And what I'm going to do now, I'm going to bump my right hip up, squeeze that right glute. Should be feeling that fire. Now I'm going to bump my left hip up. Good. So I'm only pushing the stick down about 15%, okay? Now bump my hips to the right. With that right glute fire. Good. Now bump to the left. Good. Bump to the right. Good. bump left, bump right, make sure you're breathing, bump left. Let's go one last time, bump right, excellent, now bump left. Good. Back to center and relax. Good, perfect. So now we're gonna get into a little bit of a different kind of flow here. So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna work on integrating full rotation, but also getting the hips and feet involved here, okay? So I'm gonna take the stick and I'm gonna have my hands reaching out as far as I can, or at least as you can comfortably, okay? And so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take a pretty wide stance here. I wanna go wider than shoulder width, toes are gonna be pointed forward here. Now the stick is actually across my chest and I wanna keep it there, okay? So what I'm gonna do from here is I'm gonna kind of load myself into a little bit of a squat. Not much, just a little bit here, okay? And then I'm gonna hinge my hips back a bit. Now what I wanna do from this position is I'm gonna lightly pull that stick apart with about 15 to 20% tension, and I'm gonna rotate to my left, but the angling that I'm rotating at is I'm going to be rotating my left hand up and back, and I'm gonna pull with that left hand, try to keep the hips as still as possible. I'm gonna bring it back down to center, still pulling apart, and now I'm gonna rotate to the right. Pull with the right hand, pull back, back to center. Good. Rotate to the left. Pull back with the left hand. Good. Back to center. Good. Now I'm going to pull with the right. Breathe. Back to center. Good. Now from here, what we're going to do is I'm going to actually start to rotate my right foot as I rotate to the left here, okay? So I'll kind of go from a little bit of a side profile so you can see what plane of motion I'm in as I'm rotating here, okay? So get back in that same stance here, okay? I'm going to get into that hinge. Now what I'm going to do from here, I'm just going to grip the stick, so lightly pulling apart, and I'm going to rotate to the left. As I'm rotating, I'm going to pivot my right foot, my right hip inwards. Good. I'm going to bring it back to center. My right foot comes back down. Now I'm going to rotate to the right, and I'm going to pivot my left foot. Good. Back to center. Rotate to the left. Pivot that right. Back to center. Rotate to the right, pivot that left. Back to center. Let's go one more time each way. Rotate to the left, pivot that right. Good. Back to center. Rotate to the right, pivot that left. Good. Back to center. And relax. Good. So, just kind of integrating some full body rotation and movement into that little drill there, right? So, now what we're going to do here, we're going to do some simple dislocates, okay? So, I'm going to take a horse stance. Let's go shoulder width here, okay? And I want to drop to that horse stance a little bit. Now your hands are going to be dependent on your shoulder mobility and comfort, okay? So always try not to go in those ranges of pain here. So I'm going to grip outside my shoulder width. I'm going to grip out relatively wide here, okay? And I want to keep both arms straight. I want to make sure my elbows are locked out to the best of my ability here, okay? I'm going to get to that horse stance. I want to make sure I lock my hips in, so I'm going to squeeze my glutes a bit here, okay? Just to lock those hips forward. I want to keep my pelvis stacked under my spine. Again, I'll turn from the side so you can see. And what I'm going to do from here is I'm going to pull the stick apart, with about 20% tension, okay? I'm gonna slowly bring that stick up to an overhead position. I wanna really keep my rib cage aligned with my pelvis to the best of my abilities. Again, keeping those elbows locked out, arms straight, get to that max range. Now I'm gonna start to bring the stick back down. Once it gets to my eye level, I wanna compress that stick. So I'm gonna shorten that stick. We're gonna feel those anterior tissues turn on, the chest and the shoulders, okay? All the way down, good. Pull the stick apart, 20% tension, nothing too significant. Bring it up overhead again. Keep your spine up tall. Get to that max range. Hold. Bring it back down. Once it gets to eye level, compress the stick. Come down slow. Keep it controlled. Pace should be kept up with mine. Good. Pull the stick apart. Bring it up overhead again. Make sure you're breathing. Control that breathing. Control that rib cage. Control the pelvis. Good. Hold. Back down. Shorten the stick. Excellent. Let's go one more time here. Pull the stick apart. Bring it up overhead slowly. Keep those arms locked out. Good. Back down. Compress the stick. And relax. Ease off. Good. So that's the learning for today, okay? So I'm gonna be using a squat rack. You're gonna need to be by a door frame for this. So we are gonna get into the dumpy squats today, but again, we're gonna do something a little bit different at the bottom. Effectively, we're gonna be doing a toe raise, or sorry, a heel raise. So we're actually gonna get to the bottom of the squat, okay? We're actually gonna incrementally work down into it as well. So we're gonna be doing pauses at certain ranges. Once we get to the bottom, we're gonna bring our heels up off the floor, okay? We'll start with 1 foot at a time, then we'll go both, okay? So, we're gonna get into the rack here. And so, your stance width, again, it's always gonna depend on what's most comfortable for you. Do not go into ranges that are gonna cause any pain, okay? So, take whatever squat stance you're most comfortable with, okay? I typically tend to go with a slight toe out angle, okay? I'm gonna bring the top of the stick into the top of the squat rack here, okay? Now my grip is gonna be roughly about belly button height, all right? So from here, the stick is pretty close to my body, not too close. I'm gonna first drive the stick up into the top of the rack. So I wanna push. I wanna keep my glutes tight here. This is gonna be my full lockout position. Legs should be straight, driving those feet into the floor, gripping the ground, okay? Stay up tall. Good, 3, 2, 1, excellent. Ease off. So we're just trying to get a little bit of activation, activate those erectors here. Now we're gonna start to drive ourselves down into the squat slowly. So we're gonna go back to some of those same progressions. So I'm gonna make sure I'm gripping the ground with my toes and feet, okay? Hands are at belly button height, drive the stick up 40%, okay? Now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna start to slowly lower myself into the squat. Now I'm gonna stop halfway down that range of motion. I'm gonna hold here, and I wanna make sure I'm driving my knees outwards. Hold, good. Now I'm gonna slowly push myself down deeper into the squat. Hold this position here. Make sure you breathe. 3, 2, 1, come back up. And ease off, good. Okay, now we're gonna start to add in those heel raises here. So again, go whatever position is most comfortable for you, okay? So, we're gonna do that same thing, grab the ground with your feet. Okay, grab around your toes, drive the stick up. Okay, slowly drive yourself down into the squat. Hold at that halfway point. Good. Drive yourself deeper into the squat. Bring that right heel up. Hold. Bring it down. Bring the left heel up. Hold. Bring it down. And come up. Good, and relax. Ease off. We're gonna go 2 more repetitions here, okay? Breathe. Now we're gonna go 2 more repetitions, okay? Let's actually switch how our hands are stacked. So now I'm gonna put my left hand on top, under my right hand, okay? So, grab the ground, drive the stick up, drive yourself down into the squat, hold it at that halfway point, drive the knees out. Good. Go all the way down. Good. Come up on your toes. Hold. Good. Bring the heels back down. Come up. And ease off. Let's go 1 more repetition here. Good, okay. Last one. Grab the ground with your toes, drive the stick up, push yourself down into the squat, hold at that halfway point. Remember to drive those knees out. Good, drive yourself all the way down. Good, come up on your toes. Bring the heels back down. Back up. And ease off. Good. Okay. A little bit of a tough one. We're just adding something in a little bit different on a dumpy squat. Really kind of trying to get you to master that deep, low position in the squat here, okay? Trying to own that. So, now we're going to get into a single leg RDL balance drill. Now, this drill in particular, the 6 is going to be across our upper back. We're going to start with the easiest part of it, and then we're going to progress into the harder, more challenging part of it, okay? So, I'm going to take the stick, and I'm going to put it behind my upper back here, okay? So it's kind of above my rear delts, okay? The back of my shoulders here. Now, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to start on whatever foot happens to be the hardest for me to balance. So I'm going to go right foot here, right foot forward. Now I'm going to keep my back foot in contact with the floor for now, okay? But again, we're going to progress this as we go along. So right foot is in contact with the floor. I want to make sure I'm grabbing the ground with my right foot. On my back foot, I'm just on the ball and toes of that foot, okay? Now from here, what we're going to do, I'm going to start to hinge my hips back, okay? And I'm going to hold this position here. Good. Now I'm going to turn my head to the right. You're going to feel your body want to shift. Now I'm going to turn my head to the left. Staying in this position. You're going to notice a real subtle shift in foot balance and where you feel that tension. Bring my head back down to center, and I'm going to stand right back up. Okay? Good. We're going to go again. Now we're going to progress it a little bit more here. So now I'm only keeping my toe in contact with the floor here on the back foot. Let's get back a little bit. So just my toes in contact. I'm actually not driving down on the big toe or the ball of foot. So toes in contact with the floor. I'm going to hinge. Good. Do the same thing I just did. I'm going to look to the right. Try to keep the stick as level as possible. Good. I'm going to look back down. Now I'm going to look to the left. Really try to build that awareness. Good. back down to center, and up. Woo. Good. So again, hard drill to do. So we're gonna go one more. Now we're gonna try to hover that left foot off the floor here, okay? So I'm gonna go into a single leg stance, okay? I'm gonna start to get into that RDL. I'm gonna hold, I'm not gonna get too deep into it, right? Just a little bit. Hold this position. I'm gonna slowly look to my right. Good. Now look to my left. Gonna feel the ankle working real hard here to try to maintain that balance. Back to center. Whoop. And up. Good. Now we're gonna switch feet. Again, this is a really, really challenging drill. This is a really good way to work in that balance in the RDL. You can even see that I'm having quite a bit of trouble with this as well. So, same thing. I'm gonna grip the ground with my left foot. Right foot, I'm gonna be on the ball and toes of my foot here, okay? Same thing, I'm gonna hinge my hips back, drive those hips back. Good. I'm gonna look to my left. Good. I'm gonna look to my right, slowly. Make sure you turn your head. Good, back to center. Gonna come back up. Excellent. Same thing, now I'm gonna bring that back foot back even further on the toes, okay? Only on the toes here. Just using it for balance, right? Gonna hinge. Good. I'm gonna go to look to my left. Good. Now I'm gonna look to my right. Good. Back to center. And back up. Excellent. Now we're gonna do the last one, okay? Good, and remember, only go as far as you can manage. Even if you're just doing a small hinge, that's fine, right? Just trying to maintain that balance here. So, last one. So now I'm gonna hover my right foot off the floor. Make sure I'm gripping the ground with my left foot. Keep that right leg straight. Just gonna get into a hinge. Good. Hold that position for a second, right? Really try to make sure we own that position. Now I'm gonna look to my left. Ooh, now right. Good, back to center. Hold that position, and back up. Good. Now I'm gonna bring the stick back in front. So with that, again, you're just really trying to own that position, right? Really get the foot and ankle stability down. We're trying to work on a lot of those smaller muscles that don't get worked that often, especially with single leg stuff. So now what we're gonna get into a deep lunge row. So effectively, we're just gonna be working on activating the lat and driving down the scapula. So gonna get a little bit upper body here. So what I'm gonna do here, I'm actually gonna use the edge of the squat rack right here. So if you have a wall, corner of a wall, it'd be best for you to get to it currently, okay? So what I'm gonna do, now the stick is on the left side of my body here, all right? So I actually wanna go with my left foot forward, okay? Oftentimes we're in a kind of this contralateral position, so we're gonna go ipsilateral. So I'm gonna have my left foot forward, okay? My right hand's gonna be at the end of the stick here. Now my left foot is right behind the end of the stick, okay? So what I'm gonna do here, I'm gonna get into a deep, real deep lunge position here. So my back leg is actually straight, so I'm driving that right heel back, squeezing that right glute, okay? Now my right hand is extended out, grabbing the end of the stick. Left hand is straight down here, okay? What I want to do is I want to drive that stick back, 60% tension, and then I'm going to pull up with my left hand, driving the scapula down, retracting. You should be feeling that lat activate. Hold. 3, 2, 1. Now I'm going to drive that left hand down towards the floor, reflexively pull up with my right. Hold. 3, 2, 1. Good. Ease off. And stand up. Just straighten this front leg out. We're going to go back into that same position again, okay? All right, right hand is at the end of the stick here, okay? Get into that deep lunge position. Make sure that back leg is straight, okay? Hold in the stick with the right hand. Drive the stick back with both hands. About 75% tension. Now I'm going to pull up. Pull my hand towards my hip, my left hip. 3, 2, 1. Now push that left hand towards the floor. Hold. 3, 2, 1. Ease off. And stand back up with the left and the right foot forward. Now we're going to switch sides. Okay? Good. So now, same positioning. Okay? Right foot is forward, sticks on the outside of that right leg. Okay? Take a real big split. Left foot is going to be back. Okay? My left hand is on the end of the stick. Get into that deep lunge position. Make sure your knee is stacked over the ankle. Okay? Straighten that back leg, straighten that left leg out, drive that heel back. Right hand is straight down. So, same thing. Drive the stick down both hands, 60% tension. Good. Pull that right hand up towards your right hip. Hold. 3, 2, 1. Good. Now push that right hand towards the floor. Hold. 3, 2, 1. Ease off. Straighten that right leg. Excellent. We're going to go to that one last time here. Okay. Get into that deep lunge position. Make sure your knee stacked over the ankle. Good. Drive both hands down. 75% tension. Pull that right hand towards the right hip. Hold. 3, 2, 1. Good. Now push that hand down towards the floor. Good. 3, 2, 1. Ease off. Stand up and come out of it. Good. Awesome. So now we're going to get into deep fascial stretching here. We're going to stretch out some of those front lines here. So I want to really focus on opening up those interior tissues. So this one's going to be a little bit tricky. So you are going to need the corner of a wall, right? If you have one, because you are going to be angling the base of the stick towards that wall, okay? So what I want to do here is, I'll actually go here so you can actually get a full view, is I'm going to have the stick behind me, okay? Now, my stance is going to be pretty wide, so I want to go wider than shoulder width here, like pretty wide. And so what I'm going to do here, the stick is going to be behind me, and the base of the stick is actually in the bottom of the squat rack. So I have a good stable base for me to utilize that to drive myself outwards, okay? So my hands are going to be stacked on the stick here, and my hands are right where my head is. Now what I'm going to do from here, I'm going to squeeze my glutes to extend and open up those interior hip tissues, okay? And now what I'm going to do from here, I'm going to drive my hands back while I lean back. You're gonna feel all those tissues here open up. You're gonna feel those hips open up. Make sure you're squeezing your glutes, keeping them real tight. 3, 2, 1. Slowly come out and relax. We're gonna do that again. Okay, so with this, again, if you're having any pain, just reduce the range of motion. Simply sometimes just driving the stick back can open up a lot of those tissues if you're really, really tight. So I'm gonna stack my hands again. Okay, keep that wide stance. Feet are slightly angled out. Okay, squeeze the glutes, lean back a little, extend the hands out. Breathe. 3, 2, 1. Good. Come back up. Excellent. We're going to go one more time here. Okay. Stack the hands. Okay. Squeeze the glutes. Force those hips into extension. Lean back. Straighten those arms out. Hold. 3, 2, 1. Good. Come out slowly and relax. Good. So now what we're going to do here, we're going to take the pad. Okay. We're going to focus on opening up those hips a bit here. So if you have a pillow, it'd be perfect to grab it right now. So I'm going to have my right knee down first. Okay. Now I'm going to have my left foot out to my side. So I'm going to work into this left foot like so, or into this left hip. So I'm going to be shifting to my left. Now the bottom of the stick is going to be angled outside of my right hip here. You guys want to make sure I have enough room so that when I get into the stretch, I can utilize the stick to drive pressure and drive force to further open up those tissues. So I want to make sure that I'm keeping my torso facing forward here. I actually don't want to get any kind of rotation. So keeping my torso facing forward best I can. Okay, foot is out. And what I'm going to do here, my left hand is extended. I'm going to grab the stick right where my belly button is here, and I'm going to shift weight onto that left leg here. Okay. Now the back foot is flat to the floor, so my foot is extended. Okay. I'm going to hold here. Now I'm going to drive that right hand towards the floor. We're flexibly pulling up with the left. Hold, you're going to get stretching those adductors. Okay, that's what we're going for here. Good, 3, 2, 1. I'm going to ease off, pushing, and I'm going to come back up. Excellent. Let's go to it again. We're going to do 2 more repetitions here. Okay, so that same thing. Again, try to keep your torso facing forward the best that you can. So, right hand is on the stick, right where belly button is. I'm going to drive into that left leg here. Good. Drive that stick towards the floor. With the right, pull up with the left. Hold. And 3, 2, 1. Ease off. Excellent. We're going to go one more time here. Okay. So, load into that left leg here. Drive that right hand down towards the floor. Hold. Make sure you're breathing. Control your breathing. 3, 2, 1. Come out slowly. Excellent. We're going to switch sides now, okay? So right foot goes out. And the distance of your foot is out is always going to depend on, again, it's depending on what range you have access to without any pain, okay? So top of my back foot is flat to the floor. Bottom of the stick is angled outside of my left hip here. Right hand is extended. Left hip's where the belly button is. Okay. Now I'm going to shift weight on my right leg. Now I'm going to drive that left hand down towards the floor. Reflexively pull up with the right. Good. Make sure you breathe. 3, 2, 1. Slowly ease off. Come back up. Excellent. Good. We're going to go 2 more. So I'm going to shift my weight onto that right leg here. Right arm is straight. Good. Drive that left hand down towards the floor. Reflexively pull up with the right. Still keeping arms straight. Good. 3, 2, 1. Back up. Come out slowly. Excellent. Okay, let's go one more time here. Shift your weight onto that right leg. Good. Right arm straight. Drive that left hand down towards the floor. Hold. 3, 2, 1. Slowly come out. Excellent. Good. Okay, now we're going to get into working on stretching out the hamstring here. Okay? So we're going to stay in this half kneeling position. Okay? Now my back foot, I'll turn to the side so you can see how it looks first. So I'm going to have my right leg forward. Okay? I want to have that right heel in contact with the floor here. The bottom of the stick is going to be angled out in front of my right hip. Now, or sorry, right heel. So with this right knee, I want to make sure I have a slight bend. So soft knee. I want my ankle dorsiflex, toes pointed up towards the ceiling here. Okay? Now my back foot is flat to the floor, so I'm extending that ankle. Okay? Now what I'm going to do, the stick is on my left shoulder. What I'm going to do is I'm going to slowly start to hinge forward, reaching my left hand down towards the bottom of the stick. Once you find that stretch in the hamstring, I want you to hold that position here. Okay? Try to keep as neutral of a spine as you possibly can. Good. Hold this position. In 3, 2, 1. Good. Come back up slowly. Excellent. Now what I'm going to do here, we're going to go back into that again, but we're going to start to really lightly and slowly rotate that right hip. Okay? So internal, external rotation. That rotation is coming from here, not the foot, right? The foot just follows. Same thing. So I'm going to hinge my hips back, reach down towards the bottom of the stick. Remember, keep a soft knee on the right knee here. Now I'm going to externally rotate or rotate my hip outwards. You're going to start to feel that stretch in the outer part of the hamstring. Now I'm going to rotate my hip inwards or towards my center line. Now you're going to feel a stretch more towards the inner part of the hamstring. Good. Rotate the hip outwards. Good. Now rotate inwards. Back to center. And come up. Good. Now we're going to switch sides. So, left foot is out, my right foot, top of my foot is into the floor. We're not, by the way, we're not doing anything with that back leg. That's just, again, mainly there for balance. We're not trying to open up this hip flexor here, okay? Soft knee on the left knee here. Stick is angled out in front of the left heel. Dorsiflex ankle, toes up towards the ceiling. From here, drive those hips back. Keep a soft knee bend. Extend those hands down towards the bottom of the stick. So you're probably going to be tighter on one side than the other, and that's okay. Okay? So hold this position. Focus on breathing. Deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. Good. Hold. And 3, 2, 1. Slowly come back up. And good. We're going to do that same thing we do on the other side, okay? We're going to start to add in some rotations in that stretch here. So, drive the hips back. Slide those hands down towards the bottom of the stick. Once you find that stretch, hold, okay? I'm going to rotate my hip outwards. Good, away from my center line. Now I'm going to rotate my hip inwards towards my center line. Okay? Breathe. Rotate out. Good. Rotate in. Back to center. And come up slowly. Excellent. All right, come out of this position here, and we are done. All right, I hope everybody had a good class. Again, happy Saturday. Stay safe out there. Be sure to check out the YouTube where we have more videos, and I'll catch you guys next Saturday. Have a good one.